Stroke of that pen, has a Republican president set off class warfare?
Well, after all, the stimulus plan does take tax revenue collected from people in higher income brackets and hand it over to people who make less money. Let's ask our Fox panel about it. Does that bother you at all, Peter?
Well, I mean, of course, obviously, I'm not getting a check. But, yeah, I think the biggest issue here is not the class warfare. It's a change in the way the government is injecting inflation into the monetary system. Basically, when the Fed does it, when the Fed is cutting interest rates, the new money is entering the monetary system through the banks. And that way we had these asset bubbles in stocks and in real estate. Ultimately, of course, the inflation went into commodity producer prices, consumer prices. But what they're doing now, finally, is dropping the money from helicopters. They are printing money up and giving it directly to the consumer to go out and spend it. So the impact on consumer prices will be more immediate. And this is a very bad precedent.
Let me bring up Gary Kalpom, the retail sales numbers. They surprised to the upside, better by 0.3%. And analysts, these brilliant analysts, were expecting a fall of 0.2%. Could that be psychologically already making the stimulus package a somewhat success, that people maybe started spending the money before they've even gotten the check?
I'm not sure of that. I can tell you that when I look at monthly retail numbers, they swing wildly, so I really don't put too much into 1 month. You know, one thing I agree with Peter on here is that this proposal is pretty much insane in the effect of it's a one-time thing. It will do a one-time blip for GDP. But whenever the government gives out something to someone, it is taking money from somewhere else. And that's really the definition of class warfare. And as I have been saying, what do you tell Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob, who made $150,001 last year, that they don't deserve this because they've been a little more than successful than others?
I mean, you can't give it to everybody, Eric.
Why not? I mean, if the government's going to give it to 75%, why not give it to everybody? Listen, we're all equal, aren't we? We're all Americans. I don't see the sense in all this.
See, I spend my time on Wall Street. I'm trading. I see that the economy was slowing. This was the right thing at the right time. It was temporary, it was one time, and it was a stimulus package. And if anyone had any question whether it was stimulating, guys, look what happened at retail sales today. It brought up 0.3%.
It's a lagging indicator. Its checks won't be out for 10 weeks.
Let me just, that's right, but people are spending. They're spending their check now. I guarantee it. If they're not, they're going to pay down their debt that they're accumulating right now. This is a great idea.
It's the same thing that happened back in the early 90s when we had welfare reform. It wasn't even enacted, and 2 million people just quit, went out and got jobs. It has a psychological effect. I agree with you. However, I'm also on board with Peter. It's a stupid thing to do. You're hoping that the psychological effect trumps the inflationary effect. Will it? I don't know. It might, but a lot depends on how it gets reported.
Peter brought up a great point a while ago, though, saying it's like giving yourself a transfusion from the left arm to the right arm with a leaky tube in the middle.
Yeah, sure. First of all, the last thing we need is consumers to spend more money. That's how we got into this mess in the first place. But if you look at those numbers that came out today, of course spending is up because prices are up. People have to spend more money. But if you look into the numbers, right, the amount of the family budget that goes for basic necessities like interest, like food, like energy, like health care is the highest it's been in the history of the data, going back to 1980.
If you have inflation and the spending is outstripping inflation, it still has a lot of consumer confidence behind it.
Gary Kalpom, I know you don't like the stimulus package, but you do like to pick some good names in the market that are affected by all the news events. What would you put your money into now, thinking that something might get a pop here?
Well, look, I think when we talk retail, they're acting better, but I think the only bull markets remain in the commodity areas, and there's a couple of subgroups out there. Everything else is basically starting to come off the floor a little bit.
Transports are up 39 points right now,
right.
I think.
But I call those bear market rallies. The real groups that are strong are commodities right now, and I'm not going really much further at this point in time.
You still on the sidelines, Eric?
No, not at all. I'm never on the sidelines. I look for these. Gary's right. The commodities have been in a bull run about 18 months. Probably will continue. But, you know, Applied Materials came out this morning, and they really showed a little bit something. People have been beating up the techs for a long time.
Well, you mean came out with earnings yesterday?
Earnings with, I'm sorry, yesterday. Right. But this morning we started trading up $1.50, and that's a great move, and it also is forward-looking. And I think if the techs start to go,
and they are going
nicely on the AMAT numbers. You know, Cisco a couple days ago, those weren't that bad. He just had the CEO had some forward-looking statements that people didn't like. Their numbers were great. You take that AMAT, you get text to cooperate, this could be a really
Gary
nice
Kay,
run.
go ahead.
Look, AMAT's earnings were down 15%. Revenues were down 8% year over year. That is no great shakes. All that's happened here is Applied Materials lowered their numbers 3 weeks ago just to beat them now, helping it. And all these tech stocks are way oversold. I believe we can get a rally in tech because we're entering what I call a no-news period where we don't have any more earnings for a couple of months. But I don't think anything's changed fundamentally
Tom,
there right now.
I'm looking at NASDAQ right now, and it is across the board. There are only about 5 or 6 stocks of the NASDAQ that are down.
And this is those classic tempting things about the market. When it's going up, people start slobbering, going, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I get on? Get on? I'm looking big picture here, and I'm looking at Barack Obama, who is an incredibly powerful speaker. I think he's wrong on virtually everything that he's talking about, but what a great speaker he is. You get a Barack Obama president, this stock market's going to drop 5,000 or 6,000 points.
I totally disagree with you.
No.
Let me tell you
Right
something. The stock market under Democratic presidents has historically outperformed under Republican presidents. Of course, when you've got gridlock where you have a Republican Congress and a Democratic president, you do the best.
You've got a very liberal, one of the most liberal presidents we will have ever had. You have a Congress who is very liberal, especially at the leadership positions. This is a Congress that wants to raise taxes. They want to increase spending. They want all these new programs to come out there. It's almost the exact opposite.
You're just going to wait till the election's over?
I'll tell you, I'm not putting a lot of money in the market right now. I'm scared.
Does that weigh on your decisions, Eric?
Honestly, the ending of the Bush tax cut concerns me greatly with my portfolio. If it looks like it's going to go that way.
Capital gains in particular.
Capital gains, both, and dividends, I'll probably back out and take a lot of money out of the market.
The big problem is that Obama is going to be inheriting the helm of the Hindenburg. So there's really nothing he can do here. But sure, they're going to be able to make things worse. I mean, if they raise...
Has he won already? Did I miss something? Is there not going to be a general election in November?
Thank you. At this point, but yeah, there's one thing to inherit the Hindenburg. It's nothing to go in there with a torch, and that's what Obama's doing.
Yes, he's going. Maybe it's going to crash a little bit faster, but we're going to have a lot of problems. And it would be much better if we could have somebody in office who understands the problems and what government.
By the way,
can
Gary,
do.
are you going to, Gary, in order to take advantage of the tax cuts, are you going to be selling all your stocks before capital gains goes up again?
Well, first off, we don't know whether that's going to happen. Just remember, the rhetoric during the primaries will change once we get into the regular election, and I want to first see whether the Democrats start moving towards the middle, so I wouldn't go there just yet.
Okay, gang, we got to leave.